There's a special kind of bad decision that doesn't happen in private. Not because the idea is complicated, not because it requires skill, but because it requires witnesses. Because for some people, doing something stupid isn't enough. It has to be seen, validated, remembered. And that's where things start to break. Because the moment an idea becomes a performance, logic takes a back seat. Risk becomes entertainment. And that quiet voice in your head, the one that says, "This might be a terrible idea," gets drowned out by something much louder. Watch this. Now here's the part no one likes to admit. Every single person in this video thought they were in control. Not lucky, not reckless. In control. They had reasons. It'll be quick. I've done worse. Nothing's going to happen. I know what I'm doing. And those reasons sound completely normal. Right up until the exact moment reality disagrees. Because reality doesn't negotiate. It doesn't care how confident you are. It doesn't care how many people are watching. And it definitely doesn't care about your plan. It just waits for that one step too far. That one moment where confidence replaces caution and turns a normal day into a story people tell later. The wrong way. These aren't accidents. Accidents are unpredictable. These are decisions. Clear, confident, committed. 10 moments where people didn't just ignore common sense, they overrode it. For attention, for convenience, for ego, or just to prove they could. And every single one of them found out the same thing. You can win the moment and still lose everything else. Number 1. The joke that went too far. Some people tell jokes. Some people become the joke. And then there are people like Kevin, who needed an audience to tell the difference. Kevin wasn't just funny. At least that's what he believed. He was the kind of guy who measured success by reaction. The louder the scream, the better the joke. Family gatherings, dinners, vacations, didn't matter. If there was a moment of peace, Kevin saw it as a problem to fix. Because silence isn't memorable. But chaos? Chaos sticks. So when his family stood at the edge of one of the most famous views in the world, the Grand Canyon, taking in the scale, the quiet, the beauty, Kevin saw something else. An opportunity. Now let's pause, because the Grand Canyon is not subtle. It doesn't hide what it is. It's a giant vertical drop, thousands of feet deep, with loose rock, unstable edges, and safety rails that exist for one reason: to stop people from doing exactly what Kevin was about to do. But Kevin didn't see danger. He saw a stage, a perfect setup. Picture it. Family close together, everyone relaxed, nobody expecting anything, which makes it ideal, because the best reactions come from surprise. And Kevin had a plan. Simple, effective. He'd climb over the railing, pretend to slip, make everyone panic, then pop back up laughing. Classic. Controlled. Brilliant in his head. Now, here's the thing about plans like that. They rely on one assumption: that you stay in control. That every step happens exactly how you imagine it. That nothing interferes. No variables. No randomness. Just execution. But Kevin wasn't stepping onto a stage. He was stepping onto loose gravel, sitting on the edge of a geological drop that doesn't forgive mistakes. He climbs over, carefully but not cautiously, because caution would ruin the performance. And performance is the whole point. Behind him, his family reacts, some annoyed, some confused, because this isn't new. This is Kevin being Kevin. And in his mind, it's working. He positions himself, finds his balance, arms ready, expression set. The moment is here. Oh no, I'm slipping! He commits fully, voice raised, body leaning, selling it. Because a half performance is worse than none. And for a split second, everything is exactly as planned. They react. Voices rise. Attention locks in. This is it. Peak execution. Peak comedy. Peak Kevin. And then, something small changes. Not dramatic. Not obvious. Just a shift. His foot moves. slightly more than expected. The ground beneath him doesn't hold, because gravel doesn't support performance. It responds to pressure. And now, the script is gone. The act is over. What's left is reality. He reaches back, too far. Reaches down, nothing solid. Reaches for anything and finds air. Because there's no backup, no reset, no second take. Just gravity. And gravity doesn't care if it's part of the joke. The fake panic becomes real, instantly. No transition, no warning. Just a complete rewrite of the situation. And for the first time, Kevin isn't performing, he's reacting. But reaction comes too late, when the mistake already happened. Because once balance is gone, you don't negotiate it back. You follow it. Down. The moment collapses. Not slowly, not dramatically, just completely. And the silence that follows isn't confusion, it's realization. Because everyone watching knows exactly what just happened. There's no punchline, no reveal, no recovery. Just the sudden understanding that the joke didn't go too far. It stopped being a joke. And in the end, Kevin got exactly what he wanted. A moment no one would forget. Just not the way he imagined. Because attention is easy to get, but once you have it, you don't control how it ends. Number 2, the move that was supposed to impress. There's a universal rule nobody says out loud. The dumber the idea, the more likely it happens in front of someone you want to impress. Because when ego meets attraction, logic doesn't just fade, it disappears. And in its place, performance. Now this wasn't a dangerous place. It felt safe, a county fair. Lights spinning, music in the background, people laughing, walking, eating things that probably shouldn't be fried. The kind of environment where nothing bad is supposed to happen, which makes it perfect, because danger works best when nobody expects it. He wasn't there for the rides. He wasn't there for the food. He was there for her. First date, first impression. And like a lot of guys in that exact situation, he made one critical mistake. He decided being remembered was more important than being normal. Now here's how small it starts. A comment, casual, unimportant. This ride is kind of boring. That's it. Not a challenge, not an insult, just conversation. But in his head, that's a problem. Because boring means forgettable, and forgettable means failure. So instantly, his brain starts searching for a solution. Not a good one, not a safe one, just one that works fast. And the Ferris wheel becomes the opportunity. Now let's pause, because a Ferris wheel is not complicated. It's slow, predictable, designed for one thing, to safely move people in a controlled circle. Not to be climbed, not to be tested, and definitely not to be turned into a performance. But he doesn't see structure. He sees a ladder. He sees height. He sees a way to turn a quiet moment into something unforgettable. And that's all he needs. So he says it. I'll make it interesting. That's the last normal sentence in this story. Before anyone can react, he moves. Out of the seat, onto the frame. Hands grabbing metal that wasn't designed to be held. Feet finding positions that weren't meant to exist. And just like that, he's not a guy on a date anymore. He's a spectacle. People notice. Phones come out, voices rise, because something unusual is happening, and unusual attracts attention. Exactly what he wanted. He climbs, 10 feet, 20 feet, and here's the dangerous part. Nothing goes wrong, at first. Because early success is what convinces you the idea works. His grip holds, his balance stays, his body feels strong. And then his mind? This confirms everything. I knew I could do it. Which is the exact thought that leads to the next mistake. He keeps going, higher, faster. Because now, he's not just proving a point, he's building momentum. And momentum doesn't like stopping. Behind him, she's watching. Not impressed, not excited, just frozen. Because this isn't confidence anymore. It's something else. Something harder to describe, but easy to recognize. The point where a situation stops being bold and starts becoming inevitable. Now we hit the turning point. Not dramatic, not obvious, just a shift. His hand slips slightly. Not enough to fall, but enough to change everything. Because climbing isn't about strength, it's about consistency. And the moment consistency breaks, control follows. He adjusts, repositions. But now, he's thinking. And thinking means doubt. And doubt means hesitation. His foot searches for support, finds less than expected. His grip tightens. But tighter grip means faster fatigue. And fatigue doesn't negotiate. Now the height feels different. The ground isn't background anymore. It's real, very real. And suddenly, this isn't a performance, it's a problem. He tries to stabilize, but the structure is moving, because Ferris wheels don't stop for bad decisions. They keep going. Slow, steady, unaware. And that movement turns everything against him. One more slip. Slight. Enough. And just like that, he's no longer climbing. He's falling. But this isn't a clean drop, because the wheel isn't empty. It's full of beams, bars, metal supports. Which means on the way down, he doesn't fall freely. He hits. Once, twice, again. Each impact louder than the last, each one removing whatever control was left. Until finally, there's nothing else between him and the ground. And the ground doesn't move. The fair goes quiet. Not instantly, but quickly. Because moments like that don't feel real right away. They lag. Like the brain needs a second to catch up with what just replaced the joke. And somewhere above, the ride keeps turning. Because it doesn't know what just happened. It just continues, exactly as designed. And that's the difference. The ride worked perfectly. He didn't. Because in the end, he wasn't trying to impress her. He was trying to outperform reality. To be bigger than the moment, stronger than the situation, more interesting than the environment. And that never works. Because you don't win against physics by being confident. You just lose faster. Number 3, the launch that came back. Personally, there's a level of confidence you only find in a backyard, usually somewhere between a cooler full of beer, a pile of tools, and a group of people who all agree this is probably fine. Because in that environment, ideas don't get tested, they get encouraged. And the more ridiculous the idea, the more likely someone says, yeah, we can make that work. That's where this started, not with a plan, not with engineering, just a question. What if we launch something straight up? Now normally, that question ends right there, because most people understand the follow-up, and then it comes back down. But not here. Here, the follow-up is, how high can we get it? And that's how bad ideas evolve, not by logic, by escalation. They start building, 2 heavy posts in the ground, industrial tubing stretched between them, a crude frame, something that looks like it belongs in a cartoon, not real life. But to them, it's not ridiculous. It's innovative. It's creative. It's engineering. And more importantly, it's content. Because none of this matters if nobody sees it. So the camera comes out. Of course it does. Because if you're about to do something incredibly stupid, you document it. Not for safety, not for review, for replay. Now they need a test object, something heavy enough to feel impressive, but not important enough to worry about. They choose a watermelon. Perfect, big, solid, harmless, at least on the way up. Now let's pause because this is where reality enters the conversation. Quietly, uninvited. When you launch something upward, you're not sending it away. You're borrowing time. Because gravity is patient. It doesn't interrupt. It just waits for the return. and the return is always personal. But none of that is part of the plan, because there is no plan. There's just confidence. They load the watermelon into the sling, step back, look at it, admire it, because it feels like they built something powerful. And they did, just not something safe. Now comes the most important decision: where to stand. And this is where everything could have ended differently. Step to the side, nothing happens. Stay underneath, everything happens. He chooses underneath because, from his perspective, that's the best view, the best angle, the best place to watch it go up, and more importantly, to track it. Because in his mind, he's in control. He'll follow it with his eyes, see it rise, see it fall, step out of the way. Easy, simple, handled. He even says it. I got it. That's the line, the one that shows up right before everything goes wrong. They pull the tubing back, further, further. The tension builds. You can hear it, feel it. That quiet strain in the material, the moment where something is holding more energy than it should. That's the warning. But warnings only matter if you recognize them. They don't. They go further. Maximum stretch, maximum force, maximum stupidity, and then release. The launch is violent, instant. The watermelon shoots upward, faster than expected, higher than expected, and for a brief second, it's perfect, clean, smooth, exactly what they imagined. He watches it go up, head tilted back, eyes locked, tracking it, because this is the moment, the proof, the success. It gets smaller, smaller, then disappears into the sun. And that's the problem, because now he's blind, looking straight into bright sky, trying to find something that isn't visible anymore. And while he's searching up, something else has already started moving down, because the flight is over, and gravity has taken over completely. The watermelon reaches its peak, pauses, just for a fraction, and begins its return. Same path, same speed, same destination, but he doesn't see it, because he's still looking for it, still scanning the sky, still convinced he's in control. I can't see it. That's as far as he gets. Because you don't see something falling at you when you're staring directly into light. And by the time your brain catches up, it's already there. The impact is immediate. No buildup, no warning. Just the exact result of mass plus speed plus distance. The camera shakes. Someone yells, because the moment just ended. Not the way they expected, but exactly the way it was always going to. And the worst part? Everything worked. The design, the launch, the trajectory, it all functioned perfectly. The only thing that failed was the thinking. Because in the end, he didn't get hit by bad luck. He got hit by the same thing he launched. Because what goes up doesn't just come down, it comes back to the exact place you decided to stand. Number 4. The shortcut that deleted the warning. There's a type of person who doesn't make bad decisions, at least not in their own mind. They optimize, they streamline, they remove inefficiency. Everything is calculated. Everything has a reason. And that's what makes it dangerous. Because when you can justify something logically, you stop questioning whether it's actually safe. Meet Marcus. Marcus didn't believe in wasting time. He tracked it, measured it, optimized it. The kind of guy who knows exactly how long his commute takes and exactly how much of his life it's costing him. 45 minutes home, every day. That's not just a commute. That's a problem. And problems need solutions. So one day, he found one. A shortcut. Shorter path, less distance. 15 minutes instead of 45. 30 minutes saved. Per day. Now, to Marcus, that's not small. That's efficiency. That's control. That's winning. There was just one detail. The path ran through a railway tunnel. Active, used, functional, but in his mind, manageable. Because this is where logic gets twisted. He doesn't think, trains go through here. He thinks, I'll hear them, or I'll feel the vibration, or I'll just step aside. Every risk gets converted into a solution. That's how overconfidence hides. It doesn't ignore danger, it rewrites it. Now let's pause, because a train is not subtle, but it's also not predictable in the way people think. Modern trains are quiet, faster than expected, and most importantly, they don't stop. Not quickly, not for you. But Marcus doesn't see that. He sees a system he can outsmart, so he commits, walks into the tunnel. Dark, cold, echoing. Already not a place designed for pedestrians. But he doesn't feel vulnerable. He feels efficient. And to make the experience better, he puts on his headphones. Noise canceling, high-end, the kind designed to remove everything unnecessary. And here's the irony. That's exactly what they do. They remove the world, the outside, the warnings, everything he doesn't want to hear. And what's left? Music. Loud, focused, controlled, exactly how he likes it. Now he walks. Steady pace, eyes forward, thinking, planning, probably already calculating how much time he's saving this week. Because when something works once, it becomes a habit. And habits don't feel risky, they feel normal. That's the trap, because danger doesn't always look new. Sometimes it looks familiar, routine, safe. Now let's talk about direction. Marcus is walking forward, which means anything coming behind him is invisible. Add headphones, add noise cancellation, add volume, and what you have is a person who has removed every single warning system they were born with. Hearing, gone. Awareness, reduced. Reaction time, delayed. But in his mind, everything is still under control, because nothing has gone wrong yet. And that's always the moment. The exact moment where people think, I figured it out. Behind him, something enters the tunnel. Fast, heavy, unstoppable. The kind of force that doesn't announce itself politely, but it does try. The horn sounds, loud enough to be heard from far away, designed to cut through noise, to warn, to alert. But Marcus never hears it, because he optimized it out, deleted it, removed it from his version of reality. He keeps walking, same pace, same direction, same confidence. And that's the final problem. Because confidence doesn't increase awareness, it replaces it. The light appears behind him, growing, fast, closer. The space shrinks, time compresses. And in those last few seconds, there's nothing left to fix. Because reaction requires awareness, and awareness was the first thing he removed. The impact doesn't come with drama. No build-up, no warning, just a system continuing its path through something that shouldn't have been there. And afterward, everything stops, except the one thing that never changed. The tunnel. Still there. Still functioning. Still doing exactly what it was designed to do. And Marcus? He didn't lose to randomness. He didn't lose to bad luck. He lost to optimization. To the belief that every problem has a shortcut. That every system can be outsmarted. That if something hasn't failed yet, it won't. But some systems don't fail gradually. They work perfectly. Right up until the moment you're in the way. Number 5. The lift that didn't care about your PR. There's a rule in the gym that everyone knows. Even the beginners. Even the guys who have no idea what they're doing. If you're lifting heavy, you don't do it alone. Not because you're weak, but because weight doesn't negotiate. And the moment it wins, it doesn't give it back. But rules like that only matter if you believe they apply to you. And he didn't. Because he wasn't just working out, he was performing. Garage gym, camera setup, angle dialed in. Because if you're going for a personal record, it has to be documented. Otherwise, did it even happen? And that's the mindset. Not, can I lift this safely, but can I make this look impressive? Now let's talk about ego. Because ego in the gym is quiet at first. It starts small, a few extra pounds, one more rep, a glance at someone else's numbers. And then one day, it becomes identity. I'm strong. I've got this. I don't need help. And once that idea locks in, everything after that is just proving it. Today was the day. New PR. More weight than ever before. More than his body had actually confirmed it could handle. But that doesn't matter, because confidence filled the gap. And confidence feels like strength. The bar is loaded, heavy, noticeably heavy. The kind of weight that doesn't just sit there, it exists. You can feel it, even before touching it. Now here's where the decision happens. Safety bars? Not set. Spotter? Not there. Because both of those things imply doubt. And doubt doesn't belong in a PR attempt. So he lies back, grips the bar, tight, controlled, focused. And for a moment, this looks like discipline, like preparation, like control. He unracks the weight, and immediately, there's a difference. Subtle, but real. The bar feels heavier than expected. Not impossible, but not comfortable. That's the first signal, the quiet one. The one that says, this might not go how you think. But signals only matter if you listen. He doesn't, because the camera is on, because he already committed, because backing out now would mean admitting something. So he lowers the bar, controlled, down to his chest. And now everything comes down to one moment. The press, the push, the point where strength either shows up or doesn't. He pushes. The bar moves, slightly, but not enough. He pushes harder. Muscles engage. Strain builds. The bar rises, just a little, then stops. And that's the second signal, the loud one. The one that says, you miscalculated. But now, it's too late. Because weight doesn't pause. It doesn't give you time to rethink. It just sits, exactly where it is. And where it is on him. He tries again. More force, more effort, everything he has. But effort doesn't equal output. Not when you've already reached your limit. The bar doesn't move. Not up, not away, just down, slightly, slowly. Enough. Now breathing changes, faster, shallow, because pressure is increasing, not just physically, mentally, because this is the moment where realization hits. Not dramatic, just clear. I'm stuck. He tries to shift, adjust, roll, but heavy weight doesn't adjust with you. It stays, exactly where gravity wants it. And gravity is consistent. There's no spotter, no hands reaching in, no backup plan, because backup was never part of the setup. He built the entire moment around one outcome, success, and removed everything that existed for failure, which means when failure shows up, it's alone, unstoppable, and immediate. The camera keeps recording because it doesn't understand the difference between attempt and outcome. It just captures everything until there's nothing left to capture. And the worst part? He wasn't reckless, not in the obvious way. He didn't jump, didn't climb, didn't chase danger. He just believed that he was stronger than he actually was. And that belief was the only thing heavier than the bar. Because in the end, he didn't lose to the weight. He lost to the idea that he couldn't. Number 6. The shot that was worth the risk, until it wasn't. There's a type of person who doesn't travel to experience places. They travel to capture them. Not memories, content. Because if it's not recorded, it didn't happen. And if it didn't look dangerous, it's not impressive. That's the mindset. Not exploration, presentation. And that's how you end up here, deep inside an ice cave. Cold, silent, unnatural in the way only nature can be. Walls glowing blue. Ceiling lined with frozen spikes, massive icicles formed over years, sometimes decades. It's beautiful, but not safe. And that's why there are rules, simple ones. Stay on the path, don't touch anything, don't stand under the large formations. Not suggestions, boundaries. Because the cave isn't stable, it's temporary, always shifting, always melting, just enough. But rules like that only matter to people who believe they need them. He didn't. Because to him, rules are for people who don't understand what they're doing. And he understood everything. At least, that's what he told himself. Adventure account, photos of cliffs, edges, barriers. Every image saying the same thing. I go further than other people. And that identity needs maintenance. Because once you set that expectation, you have to keep raising it. More extreme, more risky, more impressive. Otherwise, you fade. And fading is worse than danger. So when he saw it, he knew. This was the shot. Not just good, perfect. A massive icicle hanging from the ceiling. Thick, heavy, positioned just right. All it needed was him. Standing underneath, looking up, framing the scale, the danger, the moment. Now let's pause, because ice like that isn't decorative. It's structural and unstable, heavy enough to kill, sharp enough to do it instantly, and held in place by conditions that are constantly changing. Temperature, vibration, time. Everything slowly working against it. But none of that is visible. What you see is stillness. And stillness feels safe. That's the illusion. So he steps off the marked path, moves closer, positions himself, directly underneath, because from that angle, it looks better, more dramatic, more real. He calls to his friend, "Get this!" Because moments like this need documentation. Otherwise, what's the point? He picks up a rock, small, just to add something. A reaction, a movement, something to make the shot unique. He throws it, hits near the base. Nothing happens. Of course nothing happens, which confirms everything in his head. It's fine. Second rock, same result. And now, confidence locks in. Because early success is the most dangerous feedback. It tells you, you were right. So he escalates. Bigger rock, more force. Because if nothing happens, you push further. That's the pattern. Not caution, escalation. The third hit sounds different. A crack, sharp, echoing through the cave. Now this is the moment, the one that matters. Because this is where instinct tries to interrupt. That small shift in your chest, that quiet thought, maybe stop. But instinct only works if you listen. He doesn't. Because the shot isn't done. Because stopping now means losing the moment. And the moment is everything. He looks up, smiles. Because in his mind, this is about to be perfect. And then it happens. Not slowly, not dramatically, just immediate. The icicle breaks, all at once. No hesitation, no warning, just gravity, taking control of something that was always going to fall eventually. And now, it has a target. He sees it, for a fraction of a second. Enough time to understand, not enough time to react. Because reaction requires time, and time is already gone. The impact is direct, clean, final. Because mass and speed don't negotiate. The cave goes silent again, exactly like before, unchanged. Because nothing here reacts, nothing here cares. It just continues existing, exactly as it always has. And the camera? Still recording. Because it doesn't understand what just happened. It just captures. The frame, the composition, the perfect shot. Everything he wanted. Except the part where he walks away. Because in the end, he didn't lose to the cave. He didn't lose to bad luck. He lost to the idea that going further always makes something better. That rules exist to be tested. That danger is something you can stand close to without becoming part of it. But danger doesn't work like that. It doesn't need to move toward you. You move toward it. And sometimes, that's enough. Number 7. The reveal that needed an explosion. There was a time, when finding out your baby's gender meant a quiet moment, a doctor, a sentence, maybe a phone call. Now, it's an event, a production, a performance. Because in certain parts of America, having a baby isn't enough. You have to announce it. Loud, creative, memorable, and most importantly, bigger than everyone else's. Because once something becomes a trend, it stops being about meaning and starts being about scale. That's how this started. Not with emotion, with competition. They had seen the videos. Balloons, confetti, smoke bombs, all fine, all safe, all boring. And boring was not an option. So the idea formed, naturally, inevitably. What if we go bigger? Now, bigger doesn't mean better, it just means harder to control. But control wasn't the goal, impact was. So they built something. Not bought, not tested, built. Because homemade means unique, and unique means viral. A cannon, improvised, metal tube packed with powder, color payload set, pink or blue, it didn't matter. The color was secondary, the explosion was the point. Now let's pause, because anything that involves pressure, ignition, containment is not decoration. It's a system, and systems like that either work exactly right or fail instantly. There's no middle. But in their version, this isn't dangerous. It's just a prop, a dramatic reveal, a moment. So they set it up. Backyard, friends gathered, phones out, everyone ready. Because this isn't private, it's content. And content needs timing, needs framing, needs energy. He positions himself. Close. Too close. Because distance ruins the shot. And if you're not in the frame, what's the point? He checks it, adjusts it, touches it, because confidence feels like control. Someone asks, "Is that safe?" And that's always the question, the one that shows up right before everything goes wrong. And the answer? It'll be fine. Not based on knowledge, not based on testing, just belief. And belief doesn't stabilize pressure. They count down. 3, 2, 1. This is the moment, the reveal, the payoff, the thing everyone will remember. And for a fraction of a second, it works. The ignition hits, the system activates. But not the way they expected, because they didn't build a reveal device. They built a pressure chamber. And pressure, when it has nowhere to go, doesn't release gently. It escapes. Violently. Instantly. Without warning. The sound isn't festive. It's sharp. Wrong. The kind of sound that ends conversations. And in that moment, the event disappears. No celebration, no reveal, no reaction, just shock. Because everything changed before anyone could process it. And the cruel irony? The color did come out, technically, just not in a way anyone was looking at. Because the moment they tried to make unforgettable became exactly that, just not joyful, not meaningful, not what it was supposed to be. Because in the end, they didn't fail because they were careless. They failed because they escalated something that didn't need escalation. They took a moment that was already enough and turned it into something it was never meant to be. A spectacle, powered by ego, built on assumption, and driven by one idea. If it's bigger, it's better. But bigger doesn't mean better. It just means harder to survive when it goes wrong. No. 8. The selfie that thought it was safe. There's a very specific kind of confidence you only see on vacation. Not earned, not tested, just activated. Because when people travel, they don't become smarter, they become bolder, looser, more willing to do things they would never do at home. And nowhere does that show up more clearly than Florida. Because Florida has a reputation, not for safety, not for predictability, but for one simple rule. If it looks like a bad idea, someone is already doing it. That's where this happens. A golf course. Clean, quiet, expensive enough to feel controlled. Manicured grass, perfect fairways, everything designed to feel safe, which is the illusion. Because Florida golf courses have one unofficial feature: water hazards, with teeth. And there it is, right near the edge of a small pond. Still, motionless, a large alligator. Now here's the thing about animals like that. They don't look dangerous when they're not moving. They look lazy, slow, almost decorative, like part of the environment. And that's the trick, because the moment something looks harmless, people stop respecting it. He sees it, stops, looks around, because now this isn't just an observation, it's an opportunity. Not to leave, to interact. Because what's the point of seeing something like that if you don't capture it? And not from far away, not safely, up close, personal, impressive. So he starts moving toward it, slowly, casually, because in his mind, this is under control. He's seen videos, he's heard things. They don't attack unless provoked. They're used to people. They're more scared of you. All those half-true statements combined into one dangerous conclusion. I'll be fine. Now let's pause, because an alligator is not passive. It's patient. It doesn't chase unnecessarily. It doesn't waste energy. It waits. For distance to close. For movement to trigger. For opportunity. And when that opportunity appears, it doesn't hesitate. It doesn't warn. It acts. Fast. Violently, exactly once. But none of that is visible. What you see is stillness. And stillness feels safe. That's the mistake. He gets closer, phone out, framing the shot. Because now it's not just about seeing it, it's about proving he was there. That he got closer than anyone else. That he wasn't afraid. And that's the moment ego fully takes over. Because fear would stop him, but ego pushes forward. He crouches slightly, adjusts angle, leans in, closer than necessary, closer than safe, closer than smart. And the entire time, nothing happens, which confirms everything in his head. See, it's fine. Because early success is the most dangerous feedback. It tells you, you were right to ignore the warning. So he goes one step further, just a little closer, just a better angle, just one more inch. And that's the line, the invisible one, the one between observation and involvement. The alligator moves, not gradually, not predictably, just instantly. A sudden shift, explosive, controlled, efficient, because it was always ready. It just needed him to be close enough. There's no time to react, no moment to process, because reactions require anticipation, and anticipation was replaced by confidence. The phone drops, the frame disappears, and the moment ends. Not dramatically, not drawn out, just finished. Because predators don't perform, they don't escalate, they don't warn, they resolve. And afterward, everything looks the same. The water, the grass, the quiet. Because the environment didn't change. He did. He crossed a boundary that wasn't marked, wasn't labeled, but always existed. And that's the lesson. He didn't lose because the animal was aggressive. He lost because he believed it wasn't. Because in the end, danger doesn't need to look dangerous. It just needs you to get close enough to prove that it is. Number 9. The firework that needed a better idea. There are two things Americans love on the 4th of July. Freedom and things that explode, usually in that order. Backyards fill up, grills fire up, coolers open, and somewhere, every single year, someone decides, this would be way better if it was bigger. Not safer, not smarter, just bigger. Because fireworks aren't just fireworks anymore. They're competition. Whose show is louder, higher, closer? And that's how you end up here. A backyard, night falling, neighbors watching, phones already out because they know something is about to happen. Not because it's safe, because it's interesting. And he's at the center of it. Of course he is, because every group has one. The guy who doesn't just light fireworks, he improves them, modifies them, understands them. At least, that's what he says. Now let's talk about the setup. A mortar tube. Simple device, designed to sit on the ground. Stable, angled, at a safe distance. Because when something is designed to launch an explosive projectile, the goal is separation. Distance between you and what's about to happen. But distance ruins the shot. And tonight, this isn't about safety, it's about control. So he changes the setup, holds the tube, adjusts the angle, keeps it closer than it should be. Because from his perspective, this is precision, this is skill. This is the difference between amateurs and him. Someone asks, "You sure about that?" And that's always the moment. The last chance to step back, to reset, to rethink. But that's not what happens. Because doubt would mean stopping. And stopping would mean admitting, this might not be a good idea. So instead, confidence doubles down. I've done this before. That sentence has ended more situations than it has saved. Now let's pause. Because fireworks don't work on confidence. They work on timing, pressure, and ignition. And if any of those variables change, even slightly, the result changes completely. Not a little, completely. But in his version, everything is controlled, predictable, handled. So he prepares. Lights ready, tube steady, body close, too close. The fuse is lit, and for a second, everything feels normal. That familiar delay, that quiet burn, the space between action and result. And in that space, he believes he's right. Then the system activates, but not upward, not clean, not controlled. Because something in the equation shifted, and when explosives shift, they don't correct, they redirect, instantly. The sound is wrong, not the sharp crack of a launch, but something heavier, closer. And in that moment, everything changes. The tube, the position, the distance, none of it matters anymore. Because once ignition happens, there's no adjustment, no recovery, just outcome. And outcome doesn't wait. It arrives. Immediately. Violently. Final. The crowd goes silent, because moments like that don't process right away. They hang. Like the brain is trying to understand how something that looks so simple ended so differently. Because it wasn't supposed to be complicated. Just light it. Watch it. Enjoy it. But that's not what he wanted. He wanted more. More control. More impact. More attention. And that's the problem. Because the moment you try to control something designed to explode, you're not improving it. You're inserting yourself into it. And explosives don't share control. They take it. All at once. And in the end, he didn't lose to bad luck. He didn't lose to a faulty firework. He lost to proximity, to the idea that being closer meant being better, that holding it made it safer, that understanding it meant controlling it. But control only exists before ignition. After that, it belongs to physics. And physics never gives it back. Number 10. The shortcut that took the long way down. There's a specific kind of problem that doesn't feel serious enough to hire someone for. Not urgent, not complicated, just annoying. Leaves on the roof, moss on the shingles. A mess that builds up slowly until one day you look at it and think, I can fix that. Not, I should fix that safely. Just, I can handle it. And that's where this starts. Suburban neighborhood, quiet street, weekend afternoon. The kind of place where nothing dramatic is supposed to happen. Which is exactly why people get comfortable. Because comfort lowers standards. And lowers caution. He wasn't reckless. He was practical. At least in his own mind. Why pay someone hundreds of dollars for something you can do yourself? It's not a big job. Just cleaning. Just clearing debris. Just getting up there and taking care of it. And that's the key word. Just. Because just is how people shrink risk. Make it manageable. Make it feel small. Now here's the problem. Roofs aren't ground. They're angled, unstable, designed to shed things, including water, and anything else that loses grip. Add moss, add moisture, add slope. And what you have isn't a surface, it's a slide. But he doesn't see that. He sees inconvenience, and inconvenience needs efficiency. So instead of climbing carefully, working slowly, he looks for something faster, something easier, something smarter. And that's where the idea forms, the machine, because machines make things easier. That's their job. Lawnmower, self-propelled, strong, reliable. If it can handle uneven ground, why not this? Now pause, because this is where logic breaks. A lawnmower is designed for traction, on grass, flat ground, not for balance, not for elevation, not for angled surfaces with low friction. But in his mind, it's power, it's assistance, it's control. So he brings it up, gets it onto the roof, which already required more effort than it should have. But effort feels like commitment, and commitment feels like confidence. Now he's up there, machine in front of him, hands on the handle, looking at the mess and thinking, this is going to be quick. That's always the thought, right before things stop being quick. He starts it. Engine kicks in. Familiar sound, comforting, because familiar tools make unfamiliar situations feel safe. The blade spins, the wheels engage, and for a moment, it works, moves forward, cuts through debris, just like he imagined. And that's the trap, because early success confirms bad ideas. It tells you, you were right. So he pushes further, moves higher, closer to the peak, where the angle is worse, where grip is lower, where control matters most. But control isn't what he has momentum, and momentum on a slope is not your friend. The wheels hit a patch, slick, subtle, enough. The machine shifts, just slightly, but slightly is all it takes, because once traction breaks, everything changes. The mower doesn't stop, it slides, forward, downward, and because it's self-propelled, it doesn't just slide, it pulls. And now he's not guiding it, he's attached to it. He tries to correct, pull back, stabilize, but force is already moving in one direction. And that direction is not up, it's down, fast. The roof becomes a ramp, the mower becomes weight, and he becomes part of the system. Together, they accelerate, toward the edge. And here's the moment, the one where everything could change, if there was time. But there isn't, because momentum doesn't wait. The edge arrives instantly, and once it does, there's no surface left, just air and gravity. And gravity doesn't care how you got there. The fall is clean, uninterrupted, final. Machine and man, no longer separate, just mass in motion. Until motion ends, and everything stops, the neighborhood goes quiet. Because nothing about this felt like it should happen here. Not in a place like this. Not from a problem this small. But that's the point. It wasn't the problem. It was the shortcut. Because in the end, he didn't lose to the roof, or the machine, or even the fall. He lost to the idea that something simple couldn't go wrong, that effort could replace caution, that faster meant better. But faster only works when you're in control. And the moment you aren't, faster just gets you there sooner. 10 stories, different people, different places, different reasons, but the same mistake, every time. Not stupidity, not really, something worse. Certainty, the belief that, I've got this. It won't happen to me. I understand the risk. And once that belief locks in, everything else disappears. Warnings, instinct, common sense, all replaced by one thing: confidence without margin. And margin is the only thing that keeps mistakes from becoming endings. Common sense isn't intelligence, it's hesitation. That small pause before you act. The moment where you ask, is this actually worth it? And every single person in this video skipped that moment. Which one made you physically uncomfortable? Not the most shocking. The one where you thought, yeah, I can actually see someone doing that. Drop the number. Defend your pick. Let's find the true winner of today's Darwin Awards.